Okay, welcome back. We are continuing to work through this marketplace tutorial. So there's some stuff I want to do for this section. First, I want to start off by adding a couple of things in here to the home page as well as this end drawer. One of my subscribers had mentioned wanting to see how I would possibly implement some sort of advertising system for users who have seller accounts where they could purchase advertising space essentially to promote their market. So our promoted markets space is done automatically. Let's see here. How did I set that up? So promoted market is equal to true. There's actually something else that we need to add in here. I kind of thought about how I wanted to set that up, and we're going to do some additional work there. But this space is more kind of an automated process based upon user customer interaction with the market. So it's not something that the seller themselves can pay for to promote their market. So what I want to do is add in a space where sellers can purchase advertising space to boost their market and potentially their products, but we're just going to work with their markets for now. So for the time being, before we start getting into the back end of things and how that will work, at least how I intend to set it up, I'm going to go ahead and add a space here for advertising. So I'm just going to drop that down, just kind of get it out of my way so that I can work up in this empty space here. And so what I want to do first is I want to add something in here to display those kind of advertisements. So there are a few different ways that we could achieve that. And what I want to do is I want to set it up so that these advertisements will automatically transition to the next ad down the list, but that they are also, they can be manually swiped left or right. As far as I know, to my knowledge, Flutterflow does not implement any sort of standard for a marquee where something automatically scrolls like text up at the top or something like that. Now you could trigger a page level action and do a scroll to, and then assign that to a list view or a column or a row. And you could do a start, or you could do an end and have it scroll to the end. You could set the duration, and then you could do another action, another scroll to action, and set it to the beginning and have it scroll back. Which I've tested that method before, and I don't really know, quite frankly, what the issue is. I'm assuming it has something to do with it being initiated at the page level and attempting to repeat. But what I noticed was happening was that it would scroll about halfway through a horizontal list and then jump back to the start. And then it might scroll closer to the end and then jump back. And it may just scroll just a little ways and jump back, but it was never completing a full cycle of scrolls. And I had tried a few different methods, from using delays to implementing various types of scroll to actions, and it just didn't work the way that I wanted it to. So maybe somebody else can play around with that and figure out how to make that work through Flutterflow, but it seemed to have issues. And then of course we could also initiate not page level action or animations, but we could do animations of some kind and initiate those through a page level action. But there again, you're going to run into some kind of quirky behavior. So also pub.dev does have a custom widget called Scroll Loop Auto Scroll, which is basically a very simple marquee that you can install. to make it do a scrolling action across some widgets and then loop back, which that works as well. But for this particular thing, I don't necessarily want it to do a continuous scroll. I more or less want it to kind of jump to an advertisement, pause there for a second, then jump to the next advertisement, rather than scrolling across the screen. So in that way, it actually stops on an advertisement, shows it for a second or two, and then goes to the next one. So kind of the best way that I found to do that, although with some limitations, is to use page view, which I need to, I'm going to drop a container in here first, and I'm going to just bring that down slightly. And then I'll set that to infinite and define my height, which I'll just kind of start right there for now. And then I'll get the page view widget and drop it in there. And then I need to obviously kind of add some definition here as to what I want it to show. Right now it's just got an image in there, so I'm actually, first of all, I'm going to delete these other page views. So I don't need those. I'm going to be generating the children dynamically here in just a moment. And then I'm going to get rid of that image. And I actually want to drop a column in here. And then I'll go ahead and put the image back. And I'll set that to infinite. And then I'll probably do like some text for the name of the name of the shop, and then I'd probably do some additional text of like a little advertisement, some advertisement verbiage to go in there. So bring that up. And I honestly would probably do it over here, kind of to the left side. And the same thing with this. I'm not typing here. Okay, so I just wanted to put a little detail in there. So that's probably what I would, the concept I'd go with here. I do want it to be horizontal. I do want to allow swipe scrolling. I do want to show the indicator. I'm actually going to scoot that up some. And probably change the color to make it consistent with everything else. And then I would drop that down. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. Yeah, that's right. I've only got one page in there. I was trying to figure out why I wasn't showing that. Okay, so I do something like that, and honestly, I might even put that much, probably like way up at the top there. And then the container, I would set that to my background. And I probably want the container to actually have a variable height. But I don't want it to go all the way down like that. So what would probably be best then is to set my container to a fixed height. Do that real quick. And then I would limit how much text that the user could put in there to fill out the description. Okay, so once I have that in place, that looks pretty good for what we're working with here. Obviously, want to move this stuff back up. And so this could be my advertising space up here. Now, what I'd probably do is limit the number of advertisements that could be running at one time. So instead of just having that page loaded with tons of advertisements, because quite frankly, that's not very appealing. And if you have too many going at one time, that could detract from other customers that are paying for that advertising space. So you really wouldn't want to have that many going. I'm thinking like maybe 3 or 4 at max. And so whenever we set up the capability for a user to purchase advertising space, we'll be using some calendar widgets and things like that, and future date functions to be able to select those things. And so what we'll want to do is set it up so that if a slot is already filled, then it'll be marked off and they won't be able to select that. So anyway, so what I would want to do then here is I would want to obviously generate my children to have these advertisements running. I think I already set up. I set it up here. I'm actually going to copy that collection and delete it from here. And I don't want it assigned to a specific market, and I definitely don't want to query all the sub collections within markets. Ideally, we put advertisements under the markets, but we're not going to be querying a whole lot of them at one time. So we're actually going to create its own collection. Oops, I can paste a collection here. Well, put it right back under there, didn't it? Yeah, it did. Okay, I guess it's going to have to create it as a sub collection, since that's what it was. So just going to get rid of that and just go ahead and create a whole new collection here. And then for the information in here, we'll come back to this and kind of really fill all this stuff out, especially when we get into setting up the purchase screen for the seller to be able to purchase advertisement space. But just so that we have something in here, let's just go ahead and put a reference point to the market that's going to be running that ad. And we'll leave it like that for now. So now I want to come up in here to my list, or my page view, and I want to query a collection here, and I want to query seller advertisements. And again, I want to limit. I don't want a whole bunch of stuff to pop up here, and I'm going to create my limit here. I'm just going to go ahead and set it to 4 for the time being. And because we don't have any other data fields inside, we don't have any other data fields inside there. We're not going to set any filters or order by or anything like that right now. We just want to go ahead and generate that query. And then it's possible that I may do a page level refresh, database refresh on this list view or page view query as a periodic, but for the time being, we're not going to do that. We're just going to go ahead and generate that query. All right, so now it would be pulling that information in, and then we would want to make sure I'm in the right spot here. Yeah, column. And then we'd want to do a document from reference. We'd want to get that market reference from the advertisement so that we can plug the market name in here. And the market, well, we'll probably actually, yeah, we'll leave that blank for now. And obviously we'll leave this blank because when we set up the advertisement space for the seller, we may set it up so they can choose their own photo and obviously their description for their advertisement. So it won't necessarily display their market photo if they want to display something different there. Okay, so that's really what I want to do. Now, as noted, I want this thing to automatically scroll. And so I'm going to do a page level. Now, so what I will do then is on page load, I will add an action, and I'm going to go down here and I'm going to add a periodic action. And it's going to be a start periodic action. I don't want to start the action immediately. I want the delay to happen first because I want that first advertisement to show for, we'll say 3 seconds. So that'd be 3,000 milliseconds. And then the next action that I'm going to add is the, let's see here, control page view. And that'll go to next here. So what will happen then is when the page loads, we'll get a 3 second delay. The timer will kick off, and then once that 3 seconds passes, it'll kick the page view to the next page, and I'll just cycle that over and over and over again. So that way we can go down the line and show all the advertisements that are in that list. And since this kind of leaves it open-ended as to how many pages you have here, then we could, have more than 4 advertisements at a time or whatever you wanted to do there. But again, that's how I would set that up, at least kind of on a simple surface version of what I'd want to do for advertisements. And that can be up there at the top of the page, or we could even, if we wanted to, grab our container and put it down here in the middle. So I don't know if that'll look better or not. So anyway, we can do something like that. And then we could have that advertising space there. And of course, if there aren't any ads purchased at any particular time, you could fill that with like your own advertisements or whatever you wanted to, even third-party ads or whatever. And then of course we will apply actions to this, which that'll come whenever we set up the purchasing of the advertisements, because this advertisement could be for a marketplace or it could be for an item. And so we want the action to navigate to the correct page based off of what kind of ad it is. And again, that'll come whenever we get all that set up. So that'll work for now for kind of putting that in there. And again, we will really kind of dig into how at least I would set up doing advertising. And you know what, I think since I did bump this down, I'm actually gonna pad this. And let's see, what did I set these to here? 16. So let's keep these kind of consistent on our corners. There we go. All right. So anyway, so again, that's what I would do to create just a very basic, simple display for an advertisement on the main page at least. And we can plug in advertisement spaces across the app. We can put it in other places too. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a page view. It can be just a single advertisement or something like that. And then we could do tier pricing for how what space a user can acquire. And when it comes to setting up the purchasing of advertising space, the way that I plan to do it for this app, I'm not going to implement in-app purchases because you can't see that in the editor anyway. But we'll kind of simulate the process. But my intention here is to actually allow a seller to purchase advertising credits that would be stored in their advertising credit wallet in the app. And that way you can sell them credits, blocks of credits. You know, they could buy 10 credits or 100 credits or whatever, and you could like offer discounts if they bought more credits. And then we may have a tiered system, you know, like gold level credits or silver level, bronze level credits, stuff like that, where each credit, depending on its tier, represents a block of time for that advertisement, or it represents the location of the advertisement. But you know, specifically, we could say the gold level credits are equivalent to 1 day worth of advertising space, or silver is equivalent to 1 hour worth of advertising space. And then whenever they go to create their advertisement, promote their market or their item, they can then select, you know, what type of duration they want, whether it be days, hours, or even maybe blocks of 30 minutes at a time or 15 minutes at a time. And then they will it will deduct the number of credits that are the equivalent to the time that they've purchased. So I find that to be kind of the simplest way to incorporate something like that. Of course, you could also do a subscription-based sort of thing where sellers are charged a reoccurring fee to participate. But I think doing credit blocks is better, in my opinion. That's what I would prefer if I was a seller purchasing this, because I may not run an advertisement for a month, but I still paid for that month. So I'd rather be able to buy blocks of time in the form of credits and then spend them as I want to or need to. So yeah, that we'll begin to look at that here shortly. And so let's see. Let me check and see what I'm running at on time for this tutorial. Okay, so it looks like I'm doing okay on time. So I'm actually going to continue on from here then. And I think what I'll go ahead and do, I guess we'll just continue working on the advertising side of things, since it's what we're on right now. I don't really want to deviate from that. So next thing that I want to do, I want to go ahead and kind of start a certain spot here. So I did create this sub collection here under the users, and it's the user wallet, and this is where the credits would be stored. I didn't really set up a whole lot of fields in here yet, but we'll get to that. But we need to obviously represent a spot and designate a spot to the user, the seller specifically, what their credit balance is. So I think what I'd probably do, let's go over here, open up the in drawer here, and then I'd probably do some kind of indicator somewhere in here. It would probably be best. Let's duplicate this column. Did I set this column to scroll? No, I did not. We do want that scrollable. Well, wait a minute, I may have. Let me see. No, I didn't. Want that one to scroll. Not this one. Okay. So I want to create this section right here at the top for a seller. So this will only be visible if the account holder has a seller account. If they're a customer, they won't see this. So these will be seller specific settings here. So let's jump over here real quick. Check our users collection. I do want to set a variable here if they are a seller. We'll set it as a true-false statement. Let's do seller details. And I'm getting kind of laggy here, so let me refresh. All right, so I think what I would want to do is go ahead and drop another row in here. Looks like I've already got that split apart, so that'll work. And then I drop some text. And we'll make that a little bit smaller. And then an icon to the right of that row. A little padding in there. And then drop a wallet icon in there. Yeah, I don't really like white. Yeah, just leave that as black, I guess. And then we'd want to set this as the primary wallet balance, which would be the total balance, but we need to, I believe we need to set a query on that. Yeah. So we can grab this row here and then do a query and get the seller wallet, and the variable would be the authenticated user. Do just want a single document here. We don't want to hide the widget if there's no match. I want to have that visible all the time. And then we would set this to their total balance, which we'll just do the amount in wallet, and set that as compact. And 0 would be our default variable value. Okay, so now they can see, how many credits they've got right there at the start. And then let's go ahead and set our conditional visibility on this. And we want to select authenticated user as seller. So if they don't have the seller as true, then this whole column will be invisible to them. Okay, and then probably the first option, we'd want it to be seller dashboard, which will be where they can go and look at everything they've got going on. And then maybe put their seller market so they can go and view their public market space, make edits from there if they want to. And then Let's set this as seller wallet, and then let's go ahead and duplicate and make one more. All right, so now we've got some additional things to work with in here. So this is where they would go to purchase advertisements and view their current running advertisements, their upcoming, and maybe even their past or whatever, and then their wallet and all that stuff. So, so that looks good. Now we do want this invisible if they. Oh, I'm sorry. No, that's okay. It's should all be a part of that. Yeah, it's part of that column, so it'll be invisible if they are not a they're not a seller. It looks like I did set down here. I'm going to turn that off. Okay. So I think I am actually going to stop this tutorial here and then pick up with the next tutorial going through setting up everything that we need for a seller to be able to create their account, start selling, all that good stuff. So, all right, so that's it for this tutorial. Stay tuned for the next one.